Hey, this is Rob Roy, the plant-based prepper. I'm out here in nature, enjoying the great outdoors. I hope everyone gets a chance to do this. It's great for our health to have some peace and tranquility in our lives. And, this is where I think outside the box without all the noise going on online and in public. So let's get into it. I don't do this that often. If you like these talks, let me know, and I'll try to add more to my YouTube channel. But what compelled me to come out here today is what I've been hearing, and not many people are sharing online, and that is what is going to happen within the next 4 years after Trump leaves office. And yes, he is not winning this election. He is going to leave. He does have plans to come back in 4 years as president. And so let me be the first to share with you what's going to happen and what his plan is. And for one, that is to start with rallies right off the bat. So get ready for more rallies. Trump is not going away anytime soon. It's going to make life difficult for Biden. It's not going to be a peaceful transition. But there are red states where he is going to host rallies with mostly Trump supporters so he can build up his base and continuing to divide not only us as a people, but also as a nation with red versus blue states. A lot of the governors of these red states support Trump 100% and want this election overturned, whether there's evidence or not. So the plan is to have these red states secede from the Union and make Trump the president of a new republic. Let's call it the new republic of Trump. And what that will do is divide this nation in half, or even more than half, because if you look at the red states, they have more land, more resources, mostly forestry land that is undeveloped. If he becomes president of these red states when they secede from the Union within the next 4 years, he will basically be running his own country right smack in the middle of the United States. So it will divide us into two different countries, red versus blue. He will run it like a business. He'll have lower taxes. He'll have harsher crimes and penalties like the death penalty, and maybe even harsher. And he will attract businesses with lower taxes to move in that support him because he'll have more resources. He will either build walls or have it policed to start off with, and you will have to have a passport to enter his country. If you are a Democrat, you are not welcome, so you might as well leave, and he will welcome anybody that supports him to move in. Yeah, that's what I've been hearing, and those are the clues that I've been watching for. And as these governors start asking their citizens to die for them, or who they're going to die for, on Twitter and other social media, that is the communication channel that they're using to drop hints. So pay attention to that. And if we cannot operate when it comes to that peacefully, then we are on our way to World War III, and that's going to happen right on our own turf, in America, on our own soil, which is going to be the worst world war that we've ever encountered. Worse than the Civil War, worse than any wars in history. We have more people today than we did back then. And Trump has allies like Russia, North Korea, and I don't know who else will be on his side. And then there's UK and China that may still be on the blue side. Who knows? So it's just going to get bad. We need to know this. We need to be prepared for it and watch for the signs and clues. So just keep prepping out there. Let me know what you think if you've noticed any of these signs, and share them in the comments. All right, that's what I wanted to share. So stay tuned. All right, so if you're still here, then you either think I'm crazy and I got abducted by aliens, or I know more than you and it must be true, or maybe it's a conspiracy theory and you don't believe everything you hear. Let me set the record straight. It is a conspiracy theory. I made it up as I went along. I added some truths to it, and everything else was a story I wanted you to believe. And I said it as a matter of fact, like I knew more than you did. I had inside information that you haven't heard yet. The reason I'm doing this is to prove a point. and that is that there are a lot of conspiracy theories out there, and there's a big one going around right now that I will share with you. But before I do that, let me tell you how conspiracy theories work, at least in my opinion. And that is, first I'll drop some truths. Some of them self-evident to you, obvious truths that you know to be true just because you're human. They're obvious to everybody, and that is, most of the time it's has something to do with like a lie. People lie, they cheat, and they steal. That's true. Everybody does that. We're human. It happens. And if you think you haven't lied before, let me share with you a few examples. Have you ever lied in high school on a test? Have you ever looked over your shoulder because you didn't study? That's lying and cheating. And could be stealing answers from somebody else. Have you ever lied when you got pulled over by the cops to get out of a ticket? Have you ever lied because you didn't want to go to work and you weren't really sick? Have you lied to not go to a party that you're invited to? Have you lied because you're depressed but you wanted other people to believe that you're happy? I mean, these are just self-evident. These are obvious. We can relate to those types of, behaviors in ourselves because we all do it. Now, if I want you to believe a conspiracy theory, I will drop in some of those facts because you can relate to them. And then I will add maybe some science, some data that supports something that I want you to believe. And then I'll tell you a story, and hopefully you'll go along with it and believe everything that I just said was true because I dropped in those anecdotal facts and beliefs that everybody knows to be true because we're human. And we have things that we know that are true based off human nature, based off natural law, based off man-made laws. And we have to be careful when somebody tells us something that we don't believe everything you hear and know what the motive is and the story behind it. So anyway, let me, now that I put that out there, let me tell you a huge conspiracy theory right now. And that is that the entire election was fraudulent, and that there was cheating and stealing and lies, and that Trump won by a landslide. A lot of people believe that. Now, let's look at the evidence and the facts. Well, it's all based on lies, cheating, and stealing. That's the base. That's the claim. Well, we all know that. I mean, you cannot claim that there was no election fraud because we all know that to be evident, self-evident. We're all human. People lie, people cheat, people steal, people make honest mistakes as well. That could have changed some of the votes. Now, let's think about it on a grand scale now. We have checks and balances in place to prevent, hopefully, widespread fraud like that. The evidence to me has mostly been hearsay and eyewitness testimony, which isn't enough, because if we just went by that, like we did way back in history, all we would have to do is accuse somebody of something and they would be hung or put in jail. And we have forensic evidence now, and we have to have substantial evidence to support your claims in order to put people away. Otherwise, there would be so many innocent people in prison today and on death row just because of somebody's testimony. And that's not enough. That's not enough for election fraud. To claim that there's election fraud is self-evident. Everybody knows that people lie, cheat, steal, make honest mistakes. You know, that's obvious. But you have to have proof, forensic evidence, to make those claims. And there isn't any. All of the courts have dismissed it. And what scares me more, what is more of a concern to me, is that people don't care if there's any shred of forensic evidence or evidence that substantiates those claims, like physical proof. It's all based on hearsay and eyewitness testimony. Now, these testimonies have been voiced in a hearing, not a court of law, and they have been very bizarre to me. It seems like it's from people that just want to voice their grievances, that are biased, that are Trump supporters, that don't like the outcome of the election. And they're not under oath. They refuse to be under oath. That's the evidence. Now, unless you can prove to me otherwise, that you know more than me and that you're getting your information from secret sources, that you know people in certain positions that have this proof and you can provide it, then why are people claiming that they've seen the evidence? It's all they're doing is saying there has been fraud. There has been lying, cheating, and stealing, which is self-evident to everybody. But on a grand scale, you have to prove it. You can't just claim something and not have evidence beyond testimony to prove something like that. That's why I did this little experiment today, because there's a lot of people online that have a matter-of-fact attitude and seem to know more than anybody else, and are leaning more towards the fraud, and that there was enough evidence to overturn this election when I haven't seen it. Okay, I get my same information from the same place as you, and I don't know more than you. I just hopefully am thinking critically and logically and rational, and trying to avoid getting caught up into it. And it doesn't matter to me who became president, but I'm going to prep regardless for the same reasons I do now. There are claims that and fears that if Trump lost, that this country would be in a worse position. And there's also fears that if Trump won, this country would be in worse shape. We'll never know one side or the other. So I can always say that if Trump won, the country would go into civil war. We would all be worse off. But he didn't win. But I can always say that because you can't prove it. And I can stand behind that because you can't prove it. And I can say if Trump won, we would be in worse shape. We'll never know because that didn't happen. And Biden won. So there's a lot of fear out there that if Biden won, this country is over with. We're in worse shape. We're going to lose our Second Amendment rights. And you better buy what you can now. And it's just both sides are living in fear. And that's what I see. And hopefully we get past all this. And it's not, I don't believe that we're worse off either way. I just do believe that it's up to us to make a difference, and we need to stop listening to everybody and believing everything we hear, and think rationally, logically, and hopefully this video helps you guys. So anyway, that's all I have. Stay healthy, stay safe, just keep prepping.